welcome Meraj to Jagged.
Hi. Hi.
And
Thank you for inviting me for this. It's an honor. Thank you.
likewise.
Yeah.
And Meraj has been my batchmate in Mica, and we are Y2K Micans. So it's that more special as well.
Yeah, that makes us sound old, Jasravee.
Meraj, shall we start?
Sure. Good to go. Let's go.
Okay. So throughout your career, you've had the fortune, and I think it was all you were well chosen for this. That you've nurtured brands from the scratch, and somehow it's not just meant putting a seed, but it's also meant changing the paradigm. Witnessing and creating a whole new relationship with the category itself. And that's astounding, when I saw how many times that has happened in your career, not just at the agency side, but the client side, 2 times at the client side. And this is the toughest part, how do you build a relationship with a new to the world concept? And the concept, there is no need gap. The concept itself is new, and you have to create a higher expectation. So they start wanting this new product. So, if shall we start with Welspun Flooring, your recent stint, and look at what were the product, what were the product innovations, and hence what was the challenge and the belief that you tackled through various marketing initiatives, and there were so many of them.
Yeah. So, as you rightly said, Jasravee, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of a few of these, adventures, wherein I joined the adventure right at the beginning and took it to a certain level where it had to reach. So, Welspun, of course, when I joined, there were just 3-4 of us and a few interns in Mumbai office, and there was this whole idea of creating a disruptive flooring option for the country. I'll tell you disruptive because this kind of flooring was not there in the system in India.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just take 2 minutes to describe what it is. I mean, it's a plank which lock into each other. They have a tongue and groove method. And a house like Mumbai can be done, let's say 600 square feet house. That's the standard 600, 700 feet square. Can be done in a day's time, the entire flooring. And it can go over your current floor.
Right.
So there is no noise, mess. And you can be in another room and your other room can be done and then you can shift to the other room. And so this is essentially a product. It comes in different designs. So you can have marble look, you can have wood look, you can have mosaic look, and the other different kind of the botocino, which is a technical word for another marble kind of look. So any kind of look. Now, so that's the product. So the product itself is disruptive, right? Because it hasn't happened in it. So from the home decor perspective, if you see, India has emerged in a very big way in the last 10 to 15 years. And brands like Asian Paints or D-Decor or even Pepper Fry, they've played a big role in this because earlier people would paint their walls, let's say once in 5 years, 6 years, something like that. Asian Paints with their communication and the products change that behavior. People now do it almost every year, every Diwali, maybe 2 years. That's how it has reduced. So that's what Asian Paints did. D-Decor did the same with curtains. People used to have curtains which would there for a long time, but then D-Decor came by. You change it. I mean, your house needs to look good. Pepper Fry. People will have furniture. People used to have furniture forever. It used to come from their Dadaji's time, and they were proud of it. Who would have thought that you could buy furniture online? I mean, you go and get it fixed by a carpenter, or you go and see it and buy. But they changed the behavior completely. And of course, the fact that in the last 20, 30 years, India's disposable income at large has become pretty high compared to what it was, say, let's say till 90s and even late 90s, it wasn't that great.
Right.
And opening up of the economy also plays a role in it, and the IT buzz and all of that, IT boom. So people wanted their houses to look good. Suddenly, that good living, which they've seen in movies or Bollywood or Hollywood, suddenly became their own part of. So that was a cultural insight,
Yeah.
and hence, people have been living well in their homes. The homes started looking good, and house parties happening, and people appreciating, and your this looks good, and your color paint looks good, and all of that. But when it came to flooring, it still is the plain grays, whites, maybe cream, not a lot of action there. And why not? I mean, if you're doing everything around, and floor also needs to look beautiful, it can. And not just beautiful, it can be changed, it can be done in almost less than a day's time. So the one was about the thing that floor has been looking boring. The other is the change of flooring is a very cumbersome process. It takes about 15 to 20 days. Perhaps you need to move out of the house because there'll be a lot of what they call as thoka PT, hammering, dust, noise. You can't take that, right? And of course, you end up either staying in a hotel. If you're staying in a hotel, it's an expense. If you're staying at a relative's place, it's an embarrassment sometimes because they may ask you. So it comes with its own disastrous parts. So people never thought of doing it until and unless it becomes a social embarrassment that people come to your house and see, ki, "Arey, ye to floor itna bura hai." So you kind of then change it, or you change it when you start falling down or stumbling because it causes accidents at home or something because it's broken. So I'm saying all this because we did a countrywide. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, perfect. So basically, yes, home is a destination where I want the best, and I'm going to choose my space and decorate it. And now I'm going to make a change happen every now and then. I'm going to redecorate, change the interior design, but the floor remains a blind spot. And now your challenge is that when you're doing everything for the house, include the flooring, because whatever was holding you back, we've taken that out of the picture. You can do it in a day, and there's so many designs. You want a carpety look, compared to the utility, keeping that in mind, the fusion look, everything is there. And now, so you've got the product that fits in the lifestyle, and now you want to make that, communicate that, and within the perceptions, like a quick change in perception that you want to do when you, and I want you to talk about the 3 ads and the influencer program, and even the Spatium thing, which is so relevant in the COVID times, because here is a huge task that you have in front of you: change in attitude, change in perception, change in behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, so I gave you 2 aspects. One was the product itself is innovative.
Right.
I told you about the consumer insight bit that people do not go for flooring change until and unless it's just becomes a disaster zone or a social embarrassment. So, and I'm saying this, of course, it's also something which you can figure out. It seems logical, but we also did a countrywide research amongst couples and people across India, 5 centers, and figured out that this is the reality. If this is the reality, and then we went about the whole thing that the real insight came from the fact that, and I'm talking about this because you and I, we know the journey of how a campaign takes this shape, and I want our viewers to also go through the entire journey, how the campaign came about. So insight was that, the universal insight is, and all good communication comes from universal insight. So is changing a behavior. If you're used to getting up every day at 8 o'clock, and I ask you to start getting up at 5, it's not easy. So there is always that inertia, and it's not going to be easy. And that exactly was the case with flooring. I mean, changing the flooring is not easy, and that behavior or that thinking that I can change my floor now in a day's time is not something which can be grasped or absorbed so easily. So if that's the thing about change not being easy, we came about and we did this again, script testing, concept testing, and we came with the whole idea about change made easy. So we had different concepts. We again tested, and Change Made Easy was the winning concept. We also gave a nice name to the product. Again, that research got research. So we gave a name called Click and Lock Tile, because that's what it does. It just clicks and locks itself, and it sounded very nice and it new age and all of that. And so Change Made Easy, when we realized, okay, Change Made Easy is good, but India is a country of war cries. They like badal, they like or dikhao, or they like bech do, and they like jago re, and we needed a slogan and something which captures the imagination of the entire nation. So that's when we came up with the whole idea of badal dalo, because it's not just flooring change, it's about your behavioral change as well. So that brought us to badal dalo. And the reason to badal dalo, the primary reason, again, in our researches which we did in the Mumbai type houses, we realized that it can really be done in less than a day's time. Okay, so why badal dalo? Because one of the biggest reason to believe is it happens in the less than a day's time, and that became the catching part of it. And then, of course, various other reasons like it's sturdy and it's this and it's warranty and things like that. So that's the entire journey. Now, if this is the journey of the campaign, we then realize that we have to disrupt and take a market share in the quickest possible time. I mean, India is if you ask me, flooring market is both organized and unorganized included. It's about 30,000 CR market, and that's a huge market, right? And the biggest player is Kajaria, and they are at about 10 to 12,000 crore. So, I mean, if you have to take the market share from them in the quickest possible time, you have to disrupt. And hence, Badal Dalo became a good disruption war cry. And then we chose, we said that, okay, again, disruption also always happens. Not always, but it's easier to do it in a shorter span of time is with a celebrity associated to the campaign. Now, so then who's the celebrity? And then we again realized nobody can do it better than Mr. Bachchan. AB at this age, honestly, he's the only go-to person if you have to make a big statement for the country, whether you have to do damage management or whether you have to announce something in a huge way. I mean, there is an Amir Khan and there is an Akshay Kumar, but nobody does it better than Amitabh Bachchan. And you can't think of anybody if you have to find that stature and that whole jump in a quick possible time. And that's when Bachchan Saab came in.
Gee, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No worries, go ahead.
He's there as a Welspun brand endorser for towels and bed sheets and those kind of products, and Welspun into mass brand. It kind of matched at that level also.
Sure.
Meraj, we are going to come back to this point again in another context.
Sure.
Not just clutter breaking, but the credibility of celebrities. Yeah. We'll come back to it, but please continue. Yeah.
So then we had a task of doing a 2-city launch. Now, why I'm bringing this? It was a pilot launch. I mean, we wanted to test how the product is doing and how people are kind of responding to it. And we had around 500 stores across the country by then. So in fact, in 1 year's time, we put up 500 stores. That's quite an achievement across the country. The team did a very good job. So our best stores and our most number of stores were in Bangalore and Hyderabad. So we did a 3-month 2-city launch. Very exciting. We did ATL, we did print and outdoor, and then we focused on digital. For the digital assets, we created a very interesting campaign, I would say, with Leo Burnett. I mean, I was working with Leo Burnett, and see, this product is kind of a new age millennial sort of a product. People like who are cutting edge or maybe still living in the cities who adapt to new things faster will be going for something like click and lock tile or concept like that. So we took an urban couple. And interesting, my take was I need the chemistry between the two to be fantastic. So I had many options. But because people remember chemistry in any interaction of two human beings when it's a sort of a campaign.
Yeah.
So I took up a couple, Shakti and Neha. They are a on-screen couple. They were in one of the series, and they are also real-life couple.
Right.
So that's why, I wanted to, and then I saw the auditions and stuff. And I said, yeah, these are the guys I want. And the script is about let's say they are people who are very particular about their flooring in their life. They are almost obsessed. So wherever they go, if they don't find it, they mention it. They don't like it. So it's a series of three communication or three assets that we created in terms of this couple. They go to a new home and the wife doesn't like the flooring. So he figures out, and quickly things change because less than a day and all of that. And a nice touch of music here and there, because that also adds beauty to the entire campaign. Because I feel, and being a bit of a musician myself, or grown up with a lot of music around me, I feel that adds a lot of flavor to anything. So we did that campaign, and those three campaigns did wonderfully well for our launch. Launch was a huge success. Sales increased.
Office scenario. Sorry to interrupt, but one is in the office scenario as well.
Yes.
So you've targeted corporates and households, right?
Yes, and there's one wherein they go to a hotel for a holiday, and they don't like the flooring, and they're looking at it, and the guy figures out that is there something wrong, and so a very good point. We tried to address it because our products can go in hospitality industry, where in hotels our products go in corporates, and our products go in homes. And these two couples, the couple became the tying force in all the communication, and they became the face of the entire piece.
Yeah, and the interesting part is very unlikely scenarios have also been taken to show that, okay, if it can happen, then for your regular life, definitely it's doable. Because the barrier must have been so huge that you had to, kind of shatter it, so to speak.
I think that played a big role in the entire piece.
Right.
And it was a huge success. The sales figures showed it. Like 3 months, we did 3x sales in Bangalore, 2.5x sales in Hyderabad. Digital leads increased by 60%. Store walk-ins increased by 50%. And this is all pre-COVID. So it was November, December, Jan. COVID was, nobody had thought that something like this is coming up. And so world was still normal. Yeah, world was still normal. So so that launch also, and so that was a digital asset. And by then we had not shot AB. So for print and outdoor, we used AB because we had the still. So that's the strategy that we had used. And that also worked wonderfully for us.
Yeah. So there is an AB, there is a celebrity, TV couple. And then you felt the need to add it with an influencer program with Masaba Gupta. Was the intention to place it in the space of fashion and trends and,
Yes.
What did
because our products...
Sorry, but what did it achieve for you? What was your objective? Because, influences also, although it is there is a whole lot of wave for it, still, what is the tangible result out of a program like this? There is always, let's try and see,
So our products basically cater to two audience. Ek to end consumer, which is your click and lock, which will go in homes. But we also have carpet tiles, which are planks of carpets. And they go into offices. Offices are the best space for that. And then you have carpet rugs, which are rolls, which go into hospitality space like hotels or hotel lobby or corridor where you see and even cinema halls and theaters. So and so to sell this B2B piece to the clients, like let's say a PVR or a JW Marriott or maybe an office like an Apple's office or an Amazon office, you need to basically influence the influencers who are the architects, designers, purchase managers, project heads. I wanted talk show to be led by somebody who's seen as contemporary designer, cutting edge, so that that imagery is also there, that we are very design led, which we are. Um, so hence Masaba came in. There were many other names thrown at us, and I picked up Masaba, and thankfully it also worked because during that time her show also became very big. Masaba. So the timing was correct.
Yeah.
And so the objective, I'll tell you how the objective was achieved. I started getting calls from other architects. So we planned it for 3 months, okay, with six top architects. Beginning with, of course, we got Hafiz, and our partner was El Decor. So El Decor also was a part of the entire piece, because the magazine El Decor and the design house and the fashion house. And it created a bang in the industry. People started calling me that, hey, I would like to be a part of it. Now that really happened. The biggest of the architects, they started wanting to be a part of it, because suddenly it's the in thing. If your Hafiz is there with Masaba and Sanjay Wadhwa is there with Masaba, I also want to be there. Why am I not? So that was my objective from the brand perspective, that I want to have an eye level conversation, not 30 conversation. So point number one. Point number two, I also wanted the brand to come across as a cool, design-led, fashion-led, maybe, home decor is all about now good-looking people, good-looking things. And that also happened. Of course, numbers on social media were amazing. I mean, El Decor posts usually get, let's say, max 1,000 on Insta, 1,000 views and things like that when it's a video. Our shows, the talk shows were getting 6,000, 8,000, 7,000. So, and that too purely organic. It was doing beautifully and without putting any money in it. It was good. It was fun.
I'd like to say something here, Meraj. I think it was a very smart, very strategic coming together of influencers at two levels. One is the influencer in terms of the associations that you want. Then there are influencers in decision making. That the earlier influencer that we used to do in the consumer path journey, the key ones there, and El Decor, because the residual perceptions will get carried over.
So anyway, so we got the buzz going on in the COVID times. Also, I got very good rates from El Decor and everyone. So I got it done in a nice economical fashion. You see, it's because COVID. You see, everyone wants business. Nobody has business. So I kind of that's how it works. So it was good. It was a good run.
Yeah. Now Spatium. Spatium, because this whole thing about 6 feet distance, and hence how can design enable a behavior change? Because no matter what you do, when you're out there, you when you're interacting, you go back to your old behavior, and because the fear is so huge, you might not even step out. So this whole facilitating something which is the need of the times through design, and showing examples of how this is possible, whether it's corridor or halls, that was very interesting, because design creating behavior change is so powerful. Would you like to briefly talk about that as well?
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, you picked it up right. I mean, where the idea came from. I started noticing whenever you would step out, once you started stepping out after the first lockdown opened up for the first time, and you started seeing those squares or circles outside shops, and with the distance between them outside ATM and stuff, and people was really following it. Of course, they were scared also about the whole COVID thing, but people were standing on those squares and circles and maintaining the distance. And that's when it occurred that this can also be done, because they're doing it on the ground. This can also be done on the floors of the offices, and people are eventually going to come back to office, even if not in full numbers. They will come back in, let's say, 50% of occupancy, because they'll rotate and stuff, and that's what we were also doing.
Yeah.
So then we sat with the design team, and I sat, and then we discussed with the design head, and said that let's bring out something interesting, and the entire team got involved in it, and we didn't create anything new. We took the existing patterns that we had and laid it out in a certain way that it will automatically affect your behavior, because it was already in the system in your head that you're doing it outside shops, you're doing it at places you're going, and so you will do it in offices. And we launched it via a webinar of 10 episodes across India and across the world. Great response, amazing response across the globe, by the way, because our B2B business is across the globe. We are selling across the US being the biggest market.
Right.
So great amount of appreciation, business talks about how to, because post-COVID, the world is going to be different, even if you start going office. So they all need to change things. And of course, we got...
So sorry.
So one more, we got, I think we got the CII, Confederation of Indian Industries Design Award as well, for the whole thinking that, change behavioral change can happen through designs.
Thank you,
Yes.
Meraj. Thank you.
Bless you, Jasravee. Thank you for this.
Bye from Jagged with Jasravee.
I like the name. It's quite cool, and it has that certain cutting edge to it.
Awesome. Super.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.